guys. All right. Oh, the bell, yeah. That's awesome. Okay, recording is live, so we're good. There is a code at the bottom of the screen on the stream for a 30% off promo if anyone does decide to join us in premium within the week or at any time. There's no pressure. For those in the Discord who can't see it, it is just Pookie30. So let's see what we can get here with our friend Spy. So first thing I'm going to do is get off the 1 minute chart. Okay, second thing I'm going to do is try to identify some patterns here. Obviously, the daily chart is in this down channel here. Still? Oh, it says it's working. Can anyone else not see my screen? Oh, that's interesting. It shows Weeble. You don't see Weeble? Okay. Whew. All right. I'm scared now. Okay. No, that's fine. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. I do have to change one thing on StreamYard real quick. All right. So obviously, Spy is in this down channel here. If we look out farther, obviously it's in a little bit of a little pullback, right? Still not terrible. It could definitely come down farther, but I think we've got a pretty good bounce here. We got a lot of gaps to the upside to fill these gaps to the downside. We're kind of at a tough resistance point in this area. So it's also a Monday. I think with the confluence between the strong run we had last week into the uncertainty of today, I think we're going to have a little pullback probably down to, let's see what we can get here. Maybe 383. Let's see what we can do here. So if you guys want, we can be a little bit risky today, but I'm going to do it on a small position. And this is what's important here if you're ever going to do this. Okay. So who wants a live trade? This is just going to be for demonstration. I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I'm seeing. Definitely don't just blindly follow along because this is super risky. Taking anything on Spy within the first 30 minutes is very risky. For here, I'm just looking for a little bounce. I'm not going to look for a full reversal until later in the morning. So we'll see what we can get. So, but we have to wait until that happens. I can't just jump into it and hope I'm right because that's gambling, and we don't like to gamble. We like to trade. So if you don't have a plan and you don't have a strategy that you can follow consistently, and you're just kind of going on hunches and things like that, you're going to have a hard time in the market. So it's still pretty bearish. So we'll just wait and see what happens here. While we're waiting, I'm going to grab a call. So I'm going to move my options widget down here. And this is why we teach all the different stuff about being familiar with the interface that you use as well. Because if you're not familiar with that, it's going to be hard to be able to do stuff like this. So, most people switch over to the options tab, and then that's all they see is the options data. And then by the time they buy the contract, get into it, all that good stuff, the play is already run. So got to be careful with that. I'm also watching EVFM here for a little continuation, but we'll see if we get that. It's not the strongest company. So we'll see what we get out of that. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do for Spy, since we're starting to get a little bit of buying pressure, I'm going to start looking for a contract. I'm not going to buy anything just yet, though. And we'll see what we can get here. So maybe 391s are looking nice. This is probably a trap. 9 out of 10 times, we typically see 25% pullback. So let's just go ahead and change this. 12.5, 25. Okay. So typically, when you see a strong impulse to the downside like that, you'll see it come up to this 389 level right here. This 25% of the total range of that impulse. I don't think we're going to get that today. I think we're going to get a little pull up, and then it's probably just going to get downward continuation. This is common. When you see a strong impulse and it doesn't hit that 25% mark, it's usually too bearish, and you get this nice little H shape there. So we'll just keep moving the bottom down, and eventually it'll be an actual bottom. I'm going to turn my magnet on so I can just snap this to the bottom each time I move it, and I'm going to move this over here. Okay, it's getting kind of close. I'm looking at the volume here, and it's looking a lot less terminal. So I'm going to start watching in this area. I'll probably get a couple more pushes to the downside here, little stop loss raids and stuff like that. Okay. So let me just, my computer, there it goes. Weeble just crashed. Try this one more time. SPY. Let's look at SPY. And I think I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm just going to go to a single chart right here for now, just because I don't want to deal with a whole bunch of craziness on my computer. Okay, we'll see what we can get here. So this is a 0 data expiration. This is the riskiest possible contract I could possibly be looking for. So that means I'm going to cut my losses nice and tight, and I'm going to use just a small position if I get one. Definitely not going to try to force anything. I'm going to try to grab this one right here. Oops, that's why I had 2 charts. Dang it. That's okay. Just going to grab one right here, and I'm going to see, I'm going to keep an eye on these prices here. I'm liking this one. Oh, I forgot I got to unlock it because I was on the, so we got to go to last price here. Got to click all the boxes that I should have changed my settings for these, because now I got to go into my orders here, modify this, and then change this to last price. All this good stuff can be tweaked. But I was a foolish person. And let's take a look here. And this is already going against us. So now I want to see if it's going to hold this level. If it doesn't hold this level, it's going to be a little bit trickier. So we'll see what happens. I'm expecting a little bit more bounce to it. At this point, however, theta burn is real, right? It's a 0 data expiration, so we're racing against the clock here. So we'll see what happens here. Sorry. And sorry. I'm gonna hold my mouse over this closed position, but I'm gonna try to move it down here towards the bottom. So I'm gonna go to closed position, and I'm gonna try to close it by market order. It should let me. We'll see if it does though. So we're up 6%. Meh. I only have 1 contract, so I can't break up these cells. But what I can do is have a mental stop loss below each of these candles here. And I'm just going to leave it on closed by market order. And when this turns against me, I may grab a put. We'll see what happens. I think we got a nice little setup here so far. There's going to be a lot of fear in the market today, so I'm not too confident in holding this very long though. So, okay, we're at the 25% mark right here. So anything above this is elevated risk. So I could lock in my profits right here if I want to. The volume is still telling me it's kind of bullish, so I'll just wait and see where that goes. And the goal here is not to be greedy and not to try to hope it goes up more. I'm just going to wait until it doesn't go up more. I have to base my actions on certainty and not potential, right? And that's the difference. You don't want to trade the profit. You want to trade the trade. So we'll see if this is a worthwhile entry, or if we're going to get that bearish continuation sooner. Volume's still holding up, so I'm not too worried about it yet. There is potential for this to fall down pretty hard, though, so I don't want to. I may end up taking a loss on this one if it does. And that's okay. We're keeping our position nice and small, so we don't put ourselves at undue risk. So basically, it has to push past this this level here. I would like to see it get up to at least 390, but we can't guarantee any of that. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I can focus on this and that at the same time. Because I'm only in one trade. I'm not overextending myself. Yeah, JWAG, we've had some interesting background sounds, little interesting ambiance here. People with their open mics. Oh, yeah, there's a little pullback. So now we are officially watching a green position turn red, which is what we typically like to avoid. I probably should have locked in those profits, but it's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I actually expected it to push down a little harder. Brother D, can you explain what you're looking at for volume? Yes, so I'm watching the order book, what I can see of it right here, as well as the time and sales. So this is the order book is, we teach this in the Pennybois advanced section. The order book is a list of pending orders. You'll see the size, the price, and whether or not it's on the bid or the ask side. And then you'll see in the time and sales, these are orders as they're executed. So these are things that are currently filled. You see the size, the color determines whether it was filled on the bid or the ask, and the exchange. So we're going to watch and see if this can just pull up from here. What I don't want to see here is H-shaped continuation, because that's probably what's the most likely here. It's kind of early in the morning for it to bounce for the day, so we'll just see. And I have a hard rule here. I'm not going to let this drop more than 20%, because that would be undue risk. So I already looked at the Greeks. I know what the final profit's going to be. I know what the final, the total maximum risk would be. If it gets down to 20% down, I already know roughly what the price would be. So I have a mental stop in place. So for volume, basically, I'm looking for a disparity between buyers and sellers. So I want to, and more specifically, leverage over the bid ask, right? So the red and green doesn't mean it's bought or sold. It just means that it was filled on the bid side or the ask side, and it's leverage over either of those that determines whether or not something goes up or down. That's supply and demand. Oh, looking a little sharp here. We'll see what happens. This should be a lot farther down, I believe, but it's kind of interesting that it hasn't fallen down yet. Oh, somebody's got a hot mic. Paul, now you still got a hot mic, bud. I don't want any personal information leaking out on the interwebs for you. Let me also check my live stream. I want to just make sure I'm not missing any questions from social. I think I might just cut this one. It's not the best use of our funds here, so we'll see if we can get a pull up. But basically, if this thing drops below 388, I'm done with it. It still has a little ways to go. Sorry, I'm trying to get the mouse as low as possible so it's not in the way. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So does anyone have any questions? Sorry, Debo. Yeah, you asked a question. Sorry, I have to go back and forth between two screens here. Did that answer your question? What indicator am I using for these levels? For these lines here, this is the Fibonacci retracement tool. This shows. Right? These guys are all over it. Hey, Jersey, how's it going? Yeah. Oh, no problem. It's this is probably going to go against me, but that's okay. All right, the education's still solid. But you guys can see I'm taking a super risky trade. Probably the worst time of day. But I've taken a lot of the stress out of it by understanding this is super risky, and I'm minimizing my risk by setting a defined stop limit and using a small position. So this way, if I am wrong, it doesn't hurt so bad. If I'm right, that's good, but losses are going to happen, and that's what I need to prepare for. The wins will happen over and over, and that's okay. Yeah, Jersey and Debo. 2 peas in a pod. All right. So yeah, so I have 2 different exit conditions here for a loss, right? The first is that it drops below 388. The second is that the value drops below 20%. And there are, you might ask yourself, you might say, oh, that's the same thing, right? If it goes 20% down, it's got to be a certain price. That is not true because of theta. Theta is time decay. It's subtracted on a linear basis, but it accelerates towards expiration. And this is a 0 data expiration contract. So it's speeding up as time goes on. And if that's confusing, that's okay. We teach options. So just understand that the longer I hold this, the less value it has. So this is a riskier trade. I took a pretty risky entry on this, and that's okay. Probably should have just locked in the 20% and moved on, but it's okay. What I don't want to do is hold it until it's below 388 price-wise, or that theta eats away at it, so it's no longer valuable. So that's the reason I have 2 different stops. This may drop below 388. And that's okay. If that happens, we'll just we'll look at other stuff, and then we can just look at this on the way back up. That's probably going to drop. What I don't want to do is add more money to this right now. And that's something I think a lot of newer traders would be tempted to do, because you might say, oh, it's holding the 388.05 level, blah, blah, blah. Buyers are just stepping in. They're not going to make this bounce. They're not going to make this reverse. It's not guaranteed. This is already a risky position, and we chose to use a small position for that reason. So adding more money to that makes little sense. All we're doing is increasing our risk exposure at that point. So there's no sense in doing that. I would like the time to move forward to about 10 o'clock. That would be nice. And then this would be a much safer trade to hold, but I still don't want to hold it too long. So it's at 20% now. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop that one. Goodbye. So that's $40, and that's okay. So at this point, we'll just catch it on the way back up. I'm not too worried about that. All right. Does anyone have any tickers they would like to watch? C. Smith 5522 asks, could you elaborate for me a little what's selling a call or put versus buying one? Yes. And this is probably what confuses, I think, most new options traders. You got two different elements here. You're buying and selling, and you're also dealing with calls versus puts. And this, I don't want this to be like an option stream or anything, but basically a call represents the right to buy 100 shares, and a put represents the right to sell 100 shares. One person has to buy a contract, one person has to sell a contract, right? So essentially you're just buying the right to buy those shares or sell them, or you're selling the right to buy or sell those shares. So if you're buying a call, for example, you're buying the right to buy someone else's shares. So that's why you want to do that when it goes long. Think of it like a limit order, right? You're just buying the right to buy a stock at a certain price. When you buy a put, you're buying the right to sell your shares to someone else. And when you sell a call, you're selling the right to buy shares to someone else so they can buy your shares, and vice versa for the puts. So it's a little bit of it's a confusing little quadrant setup, but my best advice is just to pick one and just learn it, right? Most people like to start with buying contracts, specifically buying calls, and then they start getting into buying puts. It's the same as short trading. So that helps keep things simple. When you sell contracts, you do have a little bit more risk, and that's why you're being paid. You pay that premium to someone who wrote the contract because they're taking a little bit extra risk. So we got to be mindful of that. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a lot. So yeah, I'm just going to keep watching the SPY here for a little bit. It's still bearish, so I'm not going to just jump in here because we see a big green candle. I would really... This is the 1 minute, super risky. The only stocks that I ever look at the 1 minute on for actual trades are SPY, and that's super risky to begin with. Most of the time, the 1 minute chart is just for diagnosing a larger setup, because we want to treat it like an X-ray, right? This is where we'd look for fractures before something turns into a break, specifically for trends. So if we start to see signs of weakness on the lower time frames and then they validate on the higher time frames, that's good for confirmation to get into or get out of a trade. But yeah, don't just look at the 1 minute time frame. That's terrible. I have two screens set up, so so yeah, don't do that to yourselves. Okay. So we'll see if this one's going to hit that. I can get rid of this line. We don't need that anymore. So yeah, basically just who I am for people who don't, for people who aren't here every day. I'm mostly a technical trader, but I also teach in the Pennybois University. I teach semester 2 with Swinging Bull, and I teach the Pennybois Advanced course. That's where you learn all the in-depth education stuff. But none of that means anything unless you have good psychology, emotional habits, and discipline. So that's why we teach that stuff first, and that's way, way more important. You can see I'm not stressing out about this. I've started the day off with a loss, but I don't care, right? Because I understood the risk. I took steps to mitigate that risk, and I'm waiting for a better setup. And that makes trading a lot less stressful. So for this, I'm waiting for two specific things to happen. I'm waiting for this bottom to validate, which it's getting there, right? It's not quite there yet, but I'm also waiting for stronger volume. Now it validated. So now I'm going to look for a confirmation, which is looking pretty close. So I will grab, I think I'll grab one of these bad boys. Oh, I'll grab two. Why not? We'll get fancy with it. And then I'm going to have to go in here and edit the orders because it's fun. It's fun that Weeble likes to make me do all these steps. Come on. The trick is to do that without getting in too late. So again, you can see we're down here. We have less than 25% so far. So this is also risky, but I'm a little bit more confident now that this bottom has validated. So it's okay, in my opinion, to take a little bit more risk at this point. But I'm still going to be intelligent about it. I'm not going to wait and just watch my account die. Yeah, what did Lee put out? Wait, we don't have to watch this. I got two screens up. What's he got? Oh, Fergie, you got a hot mic, bud. Your mic is on, just so nothing personal gets out there. All right. Oh, I got some DMs here. Hang on just a second, guys. What do we got? Oh, Lily, I don't know. Are you still in the channel? You're okay. If not, it's fine. I'm just glad you're here. Yeah, no worries. I will. Nope, just going to play around with Spy for a little bit. I heard it was a really good stream this morning. You always do. Yeah. All right. JWAG says, make sure you're allocating only small amounts of your account to options day trades, especially ones in the first. Yeah, absolutely. Don't do what I'm doing unless you have some experience and you can teach and you can do the risk management aspect of it, because this will bite you and it will destroy you if you don't manage your risk. So I'm actually going to sell one of these contracts right here. Oops, I got to create new order. I usually have hotkeys. What am I doing? I usually have hotkeys set up for all this so that it's all squared away. So basically, I'm going to watch until this volume dies off, and then that's going to tell me to get out of it. So it's still decent so far. I'm just watching over here, and I'm watching here. There's a little bit of stagnation, right? I don't like to see stagnation. I like to see a good mix of red, white, and green. I like to see acceleration, and I like to see order sizes. So here we're starting to see some order sizes come in. We got a good mix, and then I just want to see it flush. And then that speed is what's going to carry it in whichever direction it wants to go. And that's when I know when to get in or out. So there's the speed. Now we just need some big orders to come in. But you're going to have little pulses of volume flowing in and out. And there's a whole bunch of traders out there watching the same stuff I am. So I know, I just need to hold out for a little bit. Okay, so now I'm watching this. Let me just go ahead and redraw that. Okay. Scalar. Let me just go ahead and zoom in here. All right. I would like to see it hold above this. If it doesn't, I may consider cutting this one. We'll see what happens. I think we're still okay so far. But I have one market sell queued up right here. And I'm just waiting to see if it's going to... What have I done? Where did it go? Oh, well. I don't want to fumble with the interface here. I can't sell my... Oh, because I put it over here. Thank you, Weeble. Weeble is crazy sometimes. So this is stuff that we don't want to end up doing. We don't want to fight with our interface while we're in the middle of a trade. I'm okay with this one because it's still a decent... I'm not going to worry about that. It's still a decent setup, so I'm not worried. But if I was maybe a little bit less experienced, or maybe if I had different distractions going on, that would be a lot more stressful. But I don't care. I'm just here hanging out with you guys, trying to teach you how to do a couple trades. All right. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to throw it out there. We'll be here all day for you guys, so you guys can get to know us, ask us all the questions about our different styles of trading. This is super risky, and it's kind of intentional. What I usually do is I teach about like trends and structure trades and things like that. But I know people also want to see some live trades, so that's what I'm here for today. And I haven't been able to trade a lot, so it's kind of good to be able to get back in there and do some actual trades. Yeah, see, we got all the cool kids with us. Agent Penguin, you were there with our. If anyone isn't aware, Agent Penguin is our local assassin. She hangs out in our game nights and kills everybody, and does it very well. She's a little bit too innocent looking. So if you haven't been in our game nights, you guys got to join us there as well. Yeah, I believe so. I don't think they just need to hit the disclaimer so they become a free member. Yeah. Yep. Always. I don't know about that. I don't know that you're always innocent. I have my suspicions. And also the really cool part, I know a lot of you guys are probably freaking out because I'm using a little bit of money for this. This is a cash account, and settled cash for options settle the next day for cash accounts, so I don't have to worry about that. With that said, though, I'm not going to devote my entire portfolio to oh man, this is not going well. I'm not going to devote my entire portfolio to positions that are just going to go down 90%, right? Because then there goes my account. So same conditions apply here. I have 2 exit criteria, and I'm just going to watch them carefully until one is met. And then that keeps me out of having to kind of stress out and decide in the moment whether or not I should do something. So I already had a plan going into this, so I'm okay with following it. Oh, JWAG's typing. It's going to be good. I think it's just a bearish market this morning. That's okay. We had a good run the last few days. There we go. A little rally. Okay, so on this impulse here, we'll see if we can get a good run. You guys see that volume just kick off? That's good stuff. But ultimately, that means we have a higher low form, so that's good. We just need it to validate. Once it validates, I think we'll be in better shape. We're also right here at the 10 o'clock window, so this is typically when the market likes to pick a direction, is somewhere between now and maybe 10:30. Music down a little bit. Super loud. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I just have my little window popped open here. I always like to have this open when I'm in an options trade, just so that I can get out in a hurry if I need to. So you can see right here, I only have it queued up for one contract, and that's just because I have 2. I want to be able to split this up, and if it does run, because of the entry that we took, I want to be able to take advantage of that. If I have to sell them both, I will, but I'd rather spread it out and let it breathe a little bit if I can. But not too much, because it's a 0 data expiration. So we'll see. Absolutely, JWAG. Keep your platform the way you like it. You got to have an efficient workflow. Some people like to use hotkeys. I love hotkeys. I don't like using my mouse. But what I don't want to do is fumble with my interface when I'm trying to execute orders. I already have enough buttons to click and weeble. I probably should disable that so that I don't have to keep acknowledging the 0 data expiration. But that's okay to just have on, just in case. Oh, my music is all right. Yeah, so we're also I'm also on Twitch. I don't know about these guys. I'm also on Twitch. We have Twitter accounts. I have a paper trade account. I would pull it up here in a second, but well, let me just dock this down here. Then I'll just pull that up. So we have paper account. This is using the very, very slow, I don't have to think about anything strategy that we teach in the Pennybois University. Actually just sold Snap this morning. Very, very slow. It's a passive growth strategy, but the best part is I don't have to think. So I can do this while I'm working full time. Maybe I got kids running around and I can only check the internet like once a day or something like that. That's where that strategy kind of comes into play, because I don't I don't want to be distracted and make choices. I'd rather just make decisions ahead of time and then follow them. Sorry, I had to readjust here. My leg's falling asleep because I don't have good posture and I'm not breathing right. That's also important. Gonna go ahead and lock in one of these right here. And then I'm going to queue up the other one just so I have it, right? Because we always want to have one ready. And I think we're probably going to maybe get a little, I can draw a trend line now. Let me erase that. An actual trend line. So remember, again, this is the 1 minute chart. So the information that we're seeing here is not super reliable. Each candle only represents 60 seconds worth of trading data. So it's not something we should be basing our futures on. Okay, so you can see we're back over 1,000. So no need to worry. There's no need to stress. Our wins outweigh our losses, and that's the whole name of the game. Now I just choose how much profit I want. That's the best part. Okay, so again, I'm watching the order book and I'm watching the time and sales, and I'm just going to see where the volume is going to push. We've cleared this support level or resistance level. I'm going to get rid of this, and I am going to draw Nachi extension tool. We like this bad boy. Okay, and we'll draw that over there. Maybe 15 is a good level, I think. I like it. Let's go ahead and see if it can get close to that. Does anyone have any questions, or are there any trades you guys are looking at right now? I haven't looked at much of anything. Volume's looking a little bit weaker here. It's not quite as, it's still accelerated, but I don't see too many big orders, and that's kind of it's sketchy. We're still stacked bullish. I like that. Let's take a look. You said AMD? Okay, what time frame are you looking at? Oh, wow, look at look at that. That fits SPY to a T. Yeah, let's look at the 5 minute. Yeah, I like this one. This is it's a good run if it holds, right? Because we got this level here that it's got to get through at 87. So may or may not, right? Let's look at a higher time frame, see what kind of setup we got. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say if that holds like 86.25 to 86.30, I think that'll be a good good little support run there. Actually getting a little nervous about SPY here. I don't like the volume. We'll see what happens, though. I can get rid of that as well. Yeah, no problem. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's look at the 3 minute. I do like AMD. That's got a good good foundation to push from if it does. It just has to clear it's got to clear out of that channel, right? It's in a very tight squeeze range there. What's up? ARK? Oh, Bark. Okay, yeah, we can take a look at Bark. Are you looking for a swing or a day trade? What do you got? Okay. Yeah, so typically, we have a resistance level, right? We're in this down channel here on the daily time frame. It's kind of hung out in the top half of that, so that's pretty good. But we just got done having an impulse to the downside, and it's starting to pull back up. So as it pulls back up, that's typically when I like to add my small buy. And I say small buy because it is still below this resistance line. Once it breaks out, then I can start trading it more confidently. I don't want this one to fall down. But yeah, anything below a resistance line like that, I typically just do small buys, and I like to wait until there's a resistance, or I'm sorry, a new support that forms. So I'd say, yeah, maybe give it, well, I mean, I can't legally tell you what to do, but I would probably wait just for a little bit. If it depends on how far in I would be. Yeah, excellent opportunity, though, I think. Just a small buy would be perfect. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. This has a history of consolidating into these tighter channels, and that's from liquidity, right? So if we look at this stock, we can see it's got 101 million float, but it's got 175 outstanding shares. So it's a little bit scary for a lot of investors. So what you're going to have in these cases is a lot of these little small channels, and then you have big runs, like these big impulses when they break. You can see here, there's a big red candle, big red candle, big red candle. That's looking at the very small time frame. Ultimately, the setup here is going to be this channel break on the daily. That's what I would personally like to trade. If you're on maybe the 1 or 2 hour, you do have this resistance line that's being approached again. But I think this piece of information right here specifically, that's not really enough, in my opinion, to really to justify anything more than a buy. Like I wouldn't base my entire trade on this. But it is a good level to watch because it's going to break up or down at some point. It's just a matter of where it goes from there, right? Yeah, yeah, we like bark. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like bark. I think it's a good opportunity. You just have to be careful where you place your buys. That's all. Ultimately, it's not going to uptrend until it breaks this resistance line. It's got to break out of this channel, and this channel has pretty much persisted the entire life of the stock. So, it really just depends on whether or not you want to just trade these little pops or if you want to trade an actual reversal in the future if there's potential. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, so realistically, right? And this is the beauty of trading hindsight rather than trying to anticipate things. If you placed a first buy here, right after this bottom forms and it starts to pull up into this resistance line, that's a first buy, maybe 5-10%. A little bit down, a little bit down, a little bit down. It didn't really start to pull up again until maybe like right here, right? Because you get that higher low formed, and then it started to push a little bit. So maybe at this point you're 20% in at the most. And then it dropped here. There's really no point in adding more here, right? Because you're still below the resistance line. But now you're far enough down away from these two buys where if it starts to pull back up again, you could maybe consider placing a third buy here. And then you really just want to save the bulk of that confirmation, the bulk of your position for when it breaks out of that resistance trend line and goes into an uptrend. That might be here. It might be down here. We just don't know until it happens. And that's kind of that's the patience aspect of of building a position down long term, is you really have to just wait until things happen. I think I might dump SPY here. I don't like this. I'd like to see it hold at least this level. But I'll probably just dump it. Probably should have gone to puts there. That's okay. Let's look at the higher time frames here. 1 hour. Yeah, it's still bearish. That's okay. So basically we have a good intermediate support rate there. Let's see if I can get that closer. There we go. So in theory, it shouldn't go down in this box. If it does, I'll probably just dump it. We'll see what happens. This is kind of the danger of trying to trade on a lower time frame, is that these levels they don't really mean as much. They're just more like guides. Realistically, it's this, we had an inverted head and shoulders here that didn't fulfill. So that's a little bit sketchy. But I don't think it's quite bearish enough to push down. I think this line will just kind of be hugged a little bit. I think it's still going up, but we'll see. Oh my, I missed so much. Mr. Durden, big fan, first time caller. What timeline do I recommend for charting? That depends on the stock, right? We like to look for clean identifiable trends. We like to look for clean identifiable support and resistance levels if we're a structure trader. We like to look for setups that we can identify. We don't like a whole lot of gaps and dashes and dots because there's not enough information to trade. So I prefer personally to look at the weekly and probably the daily just to identify the support levels, the strong ones, right? Support resistance levels and the overall trend. And then I like to also look at the lower time frame to identify the actual entry. So it really just depends on the stock as to which ones they are. But it's kind of like, I'm just going to switch things up here a bit. We'll go to NXTP for whatever reason. So if I look at this, this is impossible to read. You cannot trade on that, right? I don't care who you are. This is very dangerous. So we wouldn't use the 1 minute on that. But if I go up to the weekly, I can identify some clean levels, some clean trends, some channels, things like that. I know what the setup is here. It's an impulse to the downside, consolidating. It's probably going to be a pull up, pull back, and then a push, right? Then I would probably look down to the daily and see just kind of what we have going on locally, right? It's like locating a house. An entry is like locating a house, specifically someone's front door. First, you got to figure out what country it's in, then the state, then the county, then the street, and then the house number, right? And then you figure out where the front door is on that house. The problem is if you just start looking at a house randomly, you're going to be too close. You're not going to see anything. You're not going to see what neighborhood you're in. You have no idea if it's the right house. So you got to kind of zoom out a little bit and wait for it. It's like downloading a picture back in the day. I don't remember if you guys remember dial-up. But we had to, it took some time to download pictures. So they would first show up all pixely, and then they would slowly develop into recognizable shapes. And then they would form pictures over time as the browser got more data, right? It has to get that information to build the picture. So that's basically all you're doing when you identify timelines or time frames is what's cleanest, what's well respected, what can you interpret the best? And because that's going to be what other traders are looking at. They're going to be looking at the same time frames if you pick the right ones, because they're also picking the cleanest ones that they can identify. So for this one, for example, I probably wouldn't go any higher or any lower than the 1 hour chart. And this is not a good setup in my opinion anyway. So it's just not something I would personally like to trade. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, sorry, Lily. Yeah. So the next stream is going to be starting now. So how's it going? I'm doing good. Yeah, I'll head them off to you. Yeah, so, closing summary here. I'm just going to watch this trade until it's no longer viable, and then I'm just going to cut it, whether it's for a profit or a loss. I really don't care. The focus for myself is to ensure that I'm trading consistently and seeing the trades through from start to finish and trading the trade, not trade their profit. So if you guys want to learn more, we teach all that and more in the Pennybois University. You're welcome to join us. If not, just enjoy your time here. Have a good day.